Hello and welcome to HD Movie Talk. I'm your host, Deans Beans, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend, my decent co-host, and
What?
also a TikToker. No comment on the quality of his videos.
Oh, you
Fluffy
okay?
Duffy.
You dug deep there, man.
No, I'm joking. I watch most of your videos.
I know you do.
If it's about a movie I haven't watched, I skip it.
Did you watch one about Channing Tatum?
I don't think it's come up. No.
Yeah, no, it hasn't come up on anybody's.
I'll make sure to watch it later. Okay. This week we are doing the silver lining, which is basically when we talk about a arguably bad movie, and we discuss its merits and its flaws, and then we seek to create a better version of it.
This might be the most arguably bad movie. Well, no, I phrased it. Arguably bad
So
movie. Like
this might be the best movie, is what you're trying to say that we've talked about.
Yes. Thank you.
That was a confusing way of wording that. You would have seen everything now, but we're talking about Ghostbusters 2016. So we are ready for Ghostbusters Afterlife 2021.
Which
are you gonna be?
I think I'm kind of looking forward to that movie.
I think I am. I love Paul Rudd. I like Bill Murray.
Sexiest man alive.
Sexiest man alive. Ignore that. Oh, I'm looking at the list now just to see if I think this is the best. This or The Phantom Menace is the best movie we've talked about, I think.
I think this is better than The Phantom Menace.
Interesting. I think you like this more than I do. Anyway, every week or every 3 weeks, whenever we do this, we like to talk about the plot of the movie before we launch into our complaints and compliments. So do you want to tell us a bit about the plot?
Yes. So the movie opens up with Gabe from The Office giving a tour of this old mansion. And then, oh my God, what do you know? There's a ghost. Then after the credits roll by, we are introduced to Professor Erin Gilbert, played by Kristen Wiig. She is trying to get tenure at the university she's employed at, but her old friend has released their book about ghosts. She goes to her old friend Abby Yates, played by Melissa McCarthy. She's a little kooky and refuses to stop selling the book.
She is a little kooky.
She is a little kooky, but do you know who's even kookier?
Who?
Her companion Holtzman, played by Kate McKinnon. They are then called to this mansion, and Yates tells Gilbert that if she joins them, she'll take down the book. However, on the trip to the mansion, they encounter a real ghost, and everything changes. I know this sounds like a terrible reenactment and like a child's book about this movie. I literally wrote this during class. Anyways. However, on the trip to the mansion, they encounter a real ghost. Oh, I already said that. Erin Gilbert gets fired, and then the three decide to devote their careers into the ghost busting business. But don't call them Ghostbusters. Hijinks pursue. They hire a super stupid receptionist, played by Chris Hemsworth, and Patty Nolan, played by Leslie Jones.
Stupid hot.
Yeah, stupid hot. Like, don't forget, he's a hunk.
And also stupid.
And a hunk.
Yeah.
Anyways, Leslie Jones comes into the picture, who asks them for help because she experienced a weird encounter with a strange man and then saw a ghost herself. They try to catch the ghost, but it doesn't work. But they do start to assume that these ghosts are being brought in by an external source. Afterwards, Patty gets herself on the team, yada, yada, yada. And we are introduced to Rowan North, played by Neil Cassie, who is causing these paranormal occurrences and is trying to bring upon the apocalypse. He sets off another ghost at a rock concert. The Ghostbusters catch it. Then Bill Murray comes in. Spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, spoilers. There's ghosts.
Gets killed by the ghost. The government gets involved, tells him to be quiet. The Ghostbusters crew find Roland in his evil bunker, but he kills himself. But then it turns out he meant to kill himself. Plot twist. He starts possessing bodies, eventually going inside Chris Hemsworth's body, the stupid hot hunk. What's important to Chris Hemsworth's character in this movie, Dean?
What do you mean, that he's stupid or that he's stupid hot?
Both of them. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
One or the other.
Then Rowan uses his machine to set off the apocalypse. If only there was a crew of armed Ghostbusters to, oh my God, it's the Ghostbusters. The Ghostbusters stop the day. Slimer is there. Rowan turns into a giant ghost, and the Ghostbusters defeat him and win the day and get full funding from the government. That's the movie. That's the entire movie.
That is the movie. That is what happened in the movie that I watched today. Okay, before I start getting into trivia, because this is gonna overarch into some of my trivia, what are your thoughts on the original Ghostbusters? Are you a big fan?
I've actually seen the Ghostbusters movie very recently in theaters, the original one.
Ooh, I didn't know that already. Wink, wink.
Wink, 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 wink. It was okay. This might be a little bit controversial. It wasn't amazing.
Yeah.
It was like an 80s movie, a cheesy 80s movie. And I mean, if it came out today, I think it wouldn't be looked at as a piece of movie expertise per se.
Yeah.
But it's a classic, so it's hard to critique it.
That's fair enough. So as a very casual Ghostbusters fan, I'm really gonna test your knowledge here, okay?
I haven't seen Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, okay. This is about this, you don't need to know anything about Ghostbusters 2. Bear in mind, I would have done terribly at this if you had sprang this on me.
Are you quizzing me?
Pardon?
Are you gonna quiz me?
I'm gonna just test you. Just simply, who has cameos in this movie?
Oh, I'm gonna be racist here. I don't know his name.
Wasn't that funny? I know. Yeah. It's Ernie Hudson you're thinking of.
Ernie Hudson.
Yeah.
I know Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. Who are they?
Oh, Bill Murray is like this other Ghostbuster guy.
He's like the guy that he's like the skeptic.
Yeah, and then we have Dan Aykroyd, which is the worst cab driver that I've ever seen in a movie.
I really liked it because he's got the bit where he goes, "I ain't afraid of no ghosts," and then
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Yeah.
I don't go into Chinatown, and I ain't afraid of no ghosts. And then there's somebody, I forget his name as well, because he's not an SNL alum. But he makes a small cameo as a statue.
Yeah.
I noticed.
Well done.
I forget his name though.
That's Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis.
He was one of the writers for the first one as well. And then Ernie Hudson is the
funeral director.
Yeah. He's what's his
or
name?
Hirsch Renter or Rentee.
Yeah, Patty's uncle.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are quite a lot of other cameos in this movie. So like you say, Bill Murray is Martin Hayes. Harold Ramis is the bust because he died in 2014, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he can be in it. Dan Aykroyd is the cabbie driver. Ernie Hudson is the uncle. Sigourney Weaver is in this.
Oh, is she really?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to say the receptionist too. She's
in it. The receptionist is the one which sent me down this because when the receptionist was in it, I didn't recognize her as the receptionist from the first movie. But because she does like a big kind of like reveal, like the way the scene is framed when she's got the back to the camera and then she kind of does like turns around and like looks at the camera and goes, "Remember me?" She doesn't do that, but that's like I watched that and I went, "Oh, I know who that is." Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver's in this though? When is she in it?
Let me bring this up.
Let me see if I can spell Sigourney. Sigourney Weaver.
I brought this up here. Yeah. Wait, where? She's Holtzman's mentor.
Do we ever see that in the movie?
I just saw this and I'm like, I don't remember this. But then she's in all the photos and everything like that. So
This had to be cut out of the movie.
maybe it was. Huh.
Was it in like an after credit scene?
No. Apparently she comes in and assesses the containment unit.
No, that was definitely cut out of what I watched.
Yeah, and that wasn't in what I watched. Anyway, she filmed a scene for this.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures too.
Okay, here we
Wow, what a mystery.
I'm trying to test now. Yeah, it's removed and then put in the final cut. Yeah, so it doesn't say here that it was.
Oh, yeah, there is an extended cut on like Amazon.
Yeah, but it doesn't say extended, it just says final cut. Anyway, interesting. But that's not it. So there's the receptionist, like we said. Kate Dippold is the writer of this movie, and she is the real estate agent.
Oh.
Do you know the bit where I forgot his name, like the guy who says all the weird things and kills himself?
Neil. Yeah, Rowand.
Yeah, when someone's talking to him on the walkie-talkie and goes, "Oh, you need to go clean up the poo." That's the director. That's Paul Feig.
Oh.
The son of Harold Ramis is in this movie as one of the metalheads.
There you go.
Just for fun, I chucked in here Ozzy Osbourne was in this movie.
I remember seeing that being like, why?
I thought it was quite funny. It made me chuckle.
It was funny, but I was just like, how did they?
Yeah, I know. It's a bit of a random one, but that's 10 cameos here. 9 of them related to the first movie, which I think is pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
Interestingly enough, Bill Murray was the last person to sign up to do his cameo. And he said that he thought about this for years, whether he should do it or not. And in the end, he decided he had to do it because if he didn't do it, then he just thought people would assume that he was like disapproving of the movie. So he was like, "Oh, I'll do it." And he said he really like respected the cast and everything like that. But onto some more general trivia quickly. Chris Hemsworth has a dance sequence which was cut.
Oh man!
And also on the topic of Chris Hemsworth, apparently he was really nervous to like do this movie because he said he wasn't very good at improv, and like he was like, "Oh, these 3 women are very funny in like the interview scene."
Yeah.
But in the interview scene, he improvised the bit where there's no lenses in his glasses. And he also improvised the bit about Mike Cat.
Dude. Okay, I don't want to get into the good right now, though.
Yeah.
But Chris Hemsworth is one of the highlights of this movie. Yeah. For me.
Interestingly, speaking of Dan Aykroyd and all that lot, he said... he's like publicly said he doesn't like this movie and about that.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah. And then he later apologized and took it back, but he did say that he didn't like it. And this was going to have a sequel. Obviously, that was cancelled.
What?
And also, interestingly, the reason there wasn't a Ghostbusters 3, Dan Aykroyd had written the script and like made the concept and everything, and it was about the Ghostbusters traveling to a hellish version of New York City, like an alternate universe type thing of a hellish New York City. And it was rejected because the movie would have around a budget of $150 million. Interestingly enough, that's the budget that this movie ended up having.
I think Dan Aykroyd was a little salty, and that's why he said this movie sucked.
Yeah, I would have liked to see. Okay, I'm going to save my complaints about this movie for now. Okay. But do we start talking about the good?
Yeah, let's start with the good. Let's start with that. What I previously mentioned, Chris Hemsworth in this movie. I love him in this movie.
He's so good. I mean, it feels bad to say, but I think he is my favorite part.
Like his interview scene, I was laughing out loud.
I think that might be the only bit of the movie where I laughed out loud. Where it's I don't know. It was just the cat bit that got to me.
If you think about it, aquariums are just submarines for fish.
And it was like a good, like he is like the original himbo. Like it's a good subversion
Yeah.
of that thing. Like he is the original himbo in this movie.
And like the whole glasses thing.
Yeah,
I was like, so good.
Yeah. I've put my first good thing is just good cast.
Yeah. I mean, like, you got like some of the funniest people in Hollywood.
Yeah. Like Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd. No, I'm joking. No, it was, 4 very funny people they've put here. Yeah.
Yeah, and I put like every Ghostbuster, like I think every single Ghostbuster kind of has their issue, in my opinion, but they all have their moments. Like there's no like one character that necessarily sticks out to me.
Yeah, I get that.
I could definitely see how some people could have one character stick out for them, but I think all worked at parts, but all of them didn't work at others. So
I think I struggled to write good things down, and that's not because this movie is bad, but I think it was just very like generic and just a bit bland.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a complaint, but that's why I haven't got loads of good things, just because I'm like,
one thing because like when this movie was like the trailers were coming out, I remember people were just dragging this movie down, and a large part of that was like there was kind of like a thing of like, not this is necessarily a bad thing, but that it was just going to be like focused a lot more on like women rule and like men please, but like I don't think this movie really forces any agenda.
It's well, now we're getting to the crux of this movie, aren't we? Because we are yet to address that this movie has 4 female Ghostbusters. The feminists are taking over. That's a Vine reference.
I'm an adult version.
Yeah, and like that's not an issue with this movie. I think if you were going to make an issue about this movie, I think there's something to be said that just going, what is the point in rebooting this movie and like changing very little about it? I think you could complain about that, and that's like a valid criticism to have about this movie. But being like, oh, this movie's terrible because women. End of sentence.
No, yeah, I feel like this movie does a really good job of it just like being like, it's just like it just, the cast just happens to be female.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It isn't forced or anything, and I appreciated that.
Yeah. And they kind of like make fun of the complaints at certain bits as well. Like when they're reading the comments, and then it's one of the comments is something like, "Ain't no bitches gonna bust any ghosts," or something like that. And that makes me laugh because that's 100% a real comment. Just, I mean, obviously I've got nothing to prove this, but 100% someone has said that online before this movie came out.
And there definitely are some like, I don't know, not like kind of like female centered jokes in a sense, but like that's bound to like if you have like a male Ghostbuster, they're gonna make some male jokes. Like the one scene where they're like, when they tricked Kristen Wiig into like listening into the machine and it's just a fart.
Yeah.
But then they said, "What if I told you it came out the front?"
That
made me laugh.
I did not enjoy that moment.
You didn't like that?
I was just like, funny. The fart joke was a bit much for me, and then I
and you call yourself a Jim Carrey fan.
Anyways,
Anyways,
I think this was a very good things. I think it's got a good look to it. I think it's nice and colourful and vibrant. I do have a complaint about the whole aesthetics of this movie, which I will get to later. But I think overall the designs of stuff was cool, and like
Slimer was in it.
Yeah,
that was cool. I was like, through that movie, I'm like, wow, they didn't have Slimer. And then like right when I was thinking that, Slimer showed up, and I
like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, like the giant inflatable thing.
You liked that?
It was all right. I don't have a problem with it.
One thing that I'm honestly torn on this, whether this is a good or a bad thing.
Hmm.
So are you out of good things? Because this could lead us into the bad things.
My last good thing is I like that the big thing they had to fight at the end was just a big ghost. Just it was like the Ghostbusters logo. It was just a big ghost. I enjoyed that.
That's literally what I'm about to say.
I think I like that. I think it worked
I
well.
I think I did too, but I'm not sure.
What are you hesitant about?
Well, like I don't know. When that was happening, I was like, really? That's what they went for? Okay, I guess
It was
that
no.
works.
I had a moment like that as well because I was like, how have I never heard about this before? Like it took me by surprise because I was like, oh, this is an interesting decision, and I thought like, I don't know,
And the design looked pretty well. I was kind of surprised at how
and it
good
was
it
like yeah,
looked.
because it was like someone was wearing a cloth like when it got big.
Yeah, and also, well, my one issue with it, not my one issue with it, but the one thing where I was like, really? It's when they shot it in the crotch.
Yeah, classic.
Got him.
Classic. Oh, okay. My overarching complaint about this movie is that so I've made it very clear in the past. Specifically, I say this about superhero movies, but it is true about all movies. And that is quite simply that I just love really weird movies.
Okay.
And I just love it when just weird things happen and there's like not a lot of explanation for it. Like like certain bits of the Suicide Squad and stuff like that. And I think the first Ghostbusters movie like fully encapsulates that. Like that is a really weird movie.
It is a very weird movie.
Like there's just very like it's just a bit off the walls and I think they kind of went into this with just trying to be a more conventional comedy, and a lot of that just didn't work for me. I think it was too quippy, and I think like it was like trying too hard to be funny. Like in the first Ghostbusters movie, they don't tell a lot of actual jokes. Just
Yeah, it's
funny things happen. But in this, they're like, oh, quip, 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 which I wasn't a fan of that approach.
it what like Ghostbusters. You can call Ghostbusters a lot of things, but what you cannot call it is bland.
Yeah, yeah.
This movie is very bland.
Exactly. Like, yeah, and I said I liked the color and the vibrancy of it, but another thing this is missing compared to the first one is just how grimy and like sort of gross that first movie is. Like, speaking of someone who's never been to New York, it's got like a very like it feels more like a honest take on New York because it is just like a bit like it's not as clean. I don't really know how to describe it. Just everything in this movie looks a lot more clean and colorful. Wherein that it's just a bit grimy, and none of the characters are nice. Like all the actual Ghostbusters, like especially Bill Murray, are not nice people, and like that's like part of the character and that's part of the point of the movie. But that's not like a thing here. I think it's just too clean and
Well, right, because like when we go to like the Ghostbusters, like the original spot that they couldn't afford, it
yeah,
was super clean, which was like
yeah.
wasn't what it was in the first one. That's like whatever. They go to this different place, this like upstairs room of a Chinese restaurant, but it's super clean too. That's a nice place that they got.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's
100%.
like,
It's just like I also think like specifically of their suits of their jumpsuits, they're just very like clean and not creased and like well fitted. Where in the other one, I just imagine four sweaty men with just
yeah.
dark grey jumpsuits on. Like that's what I picture about that movie, and you don't really get that as much here.
And when it comes to like the actual characters of this movie, I feel like the cast, like Kate McKinnon's character especially, every joke is hit or miss.
Yeah,
And like I feel like this cast, they're all extremely funny on their own, but I feel like when it comes, I feel like I don't know. To me, at least, it just didn't feel like they had a lot of chemistry with each other.
I get that, yeah.
And
No, yeah, it's a point I was going to make later that it doesn't feel like a lot of these characters have like a real relationship or like dynamics.
right, it really feels like they have their own agenda, and every it slows down the pacing of the movie because you can't get along with these people being like an actual team.
Yeah.
Unlike the original one where it was like, you got Bill Murray, who's like the snarky jerk. You got Dan Aykroyd, who's like the overanalyze. You got all these things that really make them a fully fledged like group. They all have their own certain quirks that work well with each other. But I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of it was just quite cringy, I think, as well. Like some of the jokes are like, oh, okay. And okay, another complaint I had is it's gonna take some explaining, but to me it feels like a bad prequel. Because compared to the first movie, they spend so much more time on like how they get their gear and stuff like that. So they spend there's a whole scene like which explains how they got their logo, and then like they spend a lot more time. Like they spend a lot more time on the plot and the establishing of the Ghostbusters than in the first movie, and it just reminded me of a bad prequel because there's a thing that they like to do in prequels. Like let's talk about Solo, for example, where they're like, oh, where did he get his jacket? Where did he get his gun? Where did he get the Millennium Falcon? And it felt like this movie was doing that because like, oh, where did they get the car from? Where did they get the logo from? Where do they get their whatever their guns are called from? Where do they get the building from at the end of the movie? It felt like a bad prequel in that way.
Yeah.
It was kind of just, it felt like, number one, checking things off a list, but also there was just spending too much time on it. Like, you don't need a scene of how they got their logo.
That felt very strange and like out of normal.
You could just give them the logo. It's just, I also think because they spend so much time on the plot, like it was a less fun movie, where the first one is so fun that it's just one thing to another. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a lot more of them just busting ghosts and not focusing on these various things.
And also another thing that really slows it down is the antagonist of the movie.
Yeah.
It's just like very bland. That character.
Yeah. Definitely. It's a weird one because they don't do a lot of ghost busting in this.
No, they don't. They do like at least
3-4 times.
Yeah, until the very end.
But yeah, and the issue with the ghost busting is that to me it's just the same thing every single time they go. Like obviously sequences are drawn out like the dragon one, but what they do every single time is they show up and they just shoot the ghosts for a bit, and like there's less like stuff that happens in between that.
Right, like in the first Ghostbusters, they get a bunch of ghosts.
Yeah,
that's like practically most of the second act. It's just like
and the thing is about that, they never really there's no need to explain where like, oh, there's more ghosts at the moment because they're laying traps around New York because of the magical lines in the
exactly. I thought that was like stupid.
It gets bogged down by these kind of details where the first movie it's just like, yeah, there's ghosts, we're gonna go bust them, and like they don't become the Ghostbusters. Like the one of the most iconic bits of the first Ghostbusters movie for me is like the advert.
Yeah,
and like they don't reach a point like that in this movie, and like you know that advert is one of the most iconic bits because it's in all of the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailers.
Yeah, right, exactly.
They keep showing that trailer, the advert again, and I think, yeah, that doesn't. It's just, yeah, like they spend too much time sorting things out where they could just go ghosts. Let's go stop them.
Okay, I want to get into probably, I think, what was the largest nail in the coffin for this movie.
Okay.
And I bet you probably have it in your bag category too, but we haven't touched on it yet.
Go on.
Do you have any other minuscule things you want to mention?
The Ghostbusters remix.
Terrible.
So bad.
That was awful.
So bad. That I kind of did make me like, oh yeah, this came out 20. This is such a 2016 thing. Like that was proper 2016.
Like I wanted to skip that part of the movie so I could stop
It was
listening
so
to
bad.
it.
Let me have a look. Bland action, like I said.
Yeah, I remember one part that sticks out to me in particular is like that one moment where like Kate McKinnon holds like those dual wield guns. I just felt like it was edited so poorly, and it could have been like that could have been a sick action scene.
Yeah,
but it just really came off as like
and I don't know what my complaint here is specifically, but getting slimed in this movie doesn't seem as bad as it seems in the original Ghostbusters, and that's something which I don't enjoy because it doesn't seem that bad in this.
No, because they get cleaned up instantly.
Yeah, and in the last one, you do like cover the walls and like every surface.
Right.
Like, yeah, and that's what I mean by this one. It's just a bit cleaner. And is that everything? Probably. Yes, go on. What's
okay? So, I think this kind of ties into the Ghostbuster cameos that we get in this movie.
Yeah.
I think the biggest complaint about this movie is that it isn't in like the original Ghostbusters universe.
Yeah.
It easily could be.
Yeah. I get that 100%.
Like, I think that's why people. I think the studio. I don't know what studio produced this. Do you know?
It's Sony.
Is it Sony? Okay.
Explains a lot.
Well, but they definitely
Avi Arad involved.
But they definitely like. I think for Ghostbusters Afterlife, they're like, oh, they want this in the original universe. Okay, we'll make one that like takes place in that universe because like the Ghostbuster cameos in this movie is almost like a spit in the face to the originals.
Yeah.
Because like this, can you imagine how cooler this movie would have been if like the Ghostbusters like a thing of the past and instead these like women try to do it and then like they had like help from Bill Murray and like not help but like actual cameos of the actual characters. I feel like
and not to get into like improvements too much, but I feel like if you set it in the same universe, it would solve so many of this movie's issues because I also think this movie spends too much time in like of like New York not believing in ghosts and stuff like that. It spends too much time being like, oh, ghosts aren't real, and oh, where did we get our logo from, and oh, how do we get the car, and why do we become the Ghostbusters, that sort of thing.
Right, because it's already there.
Yeah.
And like if they were able to have like Bill Murray like not coach them through, but like I don't know if they were more of an integral part because like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, they are the face of the franchise, more or less. Yeah. I would say Bill Murray probably the most.
Yeah.
But like I don't know, I think that would have helped the movie a lot.
I get that. No, you're right.
And I think like when trailers for this movie came out, everybody was like, "Wait, this is just a straight up reboot," and people were very upset over that.
It's just reboots in general people don't like as well, but understandably.
Well, yeah. All right. So, is that all you have for your good and bad?
I think that I've complained about this movie more than I thought I would. But yes.
Okay. So, how do we fix this?
I mean, number one, what we just discussed.
Yeah, we can get it in the same universe.
And I think that would fix so many of the issues of them spending so much time on their weapons and on the logo and on like becoming the Ghostbusters. I think okay, here's my pitch. So how long ago was the Ghostbusters? Like 25 years before this? Like the original? Maybe 30? When did that come out?
Let's see, Ghostbusters.
90, yeah, so 22 years before this.
Look at you, Mr. Math over here.
So you could do it being like, oh, 22 years ago, this massive thing happened, and then something similar happened a couple of years later. And like, it's kind of been forgotten about. And some people are like, oh, it wasn't real. And not everyone believes in ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same thing happens. She starts talking about ghosts, and then she gets kicked out of university and meets her friends and all that sort of thing. But then the other issue, the second biggest thing to solve, I believe, is the villain.
Yeah. Because villain in this is just bland. We could, could you imagine how sick it would be if one of the villains was like another member of the Ghostbusters, like Dan Aykroyd, or like
Being, yeah.
and like angry that the legacy of the Ghostbusters has been forgotten.
Yeah. Oh, what? Yes, he's angry that the legacy of the Ghostbusters has been forgotten, so he's about to unleash all the ghosts into New York to be like, look, they are real, or something like that. But which Ghostbuster would be the? I feel like you kind of want to go with Bill Murray because he's the.
I feel like Bill Murray makes most sense because Dan Aykroyd is not that good of an actor.
I was going to say because he's the character who isn't a nice person.
Right.
Compared to the rest of them, he's the one who's like not a great person. You're kind of like, oh.
But that could also make it very interesting if like the nicest person, like if Dan Aykroyd was the villain, if the nicest person was like the one, because like I mean Dan Aykroyd did sell his house for the Ghostbusters.
It's true, he did. Yeah, Bill Murray is funny because he wrote this movie was written as like just a vehicle for him and his friends, and it was originally supposed to be can't believe I forgot his name. Eddie Murphy was supposed to be in it, and he and then someone else, Eddie Murphy and someone else, and then they dropped out. So then they got Bill Murray, and then when they got Bill Murray, they gave him a much bigger part and like reduced the part of a lot of the other Ghostbusters, including the one that we neither of us can, Ernie Hudson. Including Ernie Hudson, and Ernie Hudson was upset because like in the original script, his character had a big part because it was supposed to be played by
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, and so he was annoyed about that at the time.
Well, and that's how Hollywood works. So
yeah, but like you're done somewhere, you read a script, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be in this, and I'm gonna be a main character, and then you get another script for after agreeing. So like I understand why it happened.
And in like for me, from somebody who never really watched, I think that time I saw Ghostbusters in theaters was like the first time I actually watched Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that there was a fourth Ghostbuster.
Yeah, exactly. Because what happened when I first watched this movie, the only reason I knew there was a fourth Ghostbuster was because of Stranger Things. And then in Stranger Things, they have the joke that Lucas has to be Ernie Hudson's character because they're both black. And then he makes a joke about that. And I'm watching the movie and I'm like, well, I know there's a fourth Ghostbuster who's back. And I'm watching, I'm like, is he introduced in the second movie? And like, I had that thought while watching it and he was introduced. I was like, oh, okay, because it is very late in the game.
No, like, I knew Ernie Hudson was in Ghostbusters too. And I always had just thought that like he was a replacement for the one who died.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know how that. I was like 10 at the time when I was thinking that. But like I don't know, I feel like Ernie Hudson is definitely like the least discussed Ghostbuster, and that blows.
Yeah, and yeah. And it is just because of the role he plays in that first movie.
Right, because it's yeah.
I think Dan Aykroyd would be an interesting villain in this.
I think so too.
Wouldn't it be really funny if we like plan an entire movie and then we go and watch Ghostbusters Afterlife, and then we're like, whoa,
it's our movie.
I'm gonna sue them. They made this in a week.
So Dan Aykroyd as the villain, Bill Murray as like the reluctant tutor to this new team.
Yeah, so okay. So that what if they go to Bill Murray felt early on in the movie because they're like, oh, we're starting the Ghostbusters because ghosts are reappearing.
Right.
They say that, and Bill Murray goes, no, I'm done with that. Like, because all he wants is money and everything like that. So he's like, no, I'm done with that. And then eventually they discover that the reason there are more ghosts appearing is because of Dan Aykroyd. And then Bill Murray's like, oh, I'll help you now because I need to stop my friend.
Do you know what would be interesting?
Go on.
Is if like the thing that makes him do it is if they're like, yeah, we caught this ghost that we're calling like Slimer or whatever. And he's like, Slimer, we captured that ghost a while ago. That should be a ghost that isn't out.
Yeah.
And that's how he realizes. So Slimer is once again the catalyst of the
that. Yeah. And then they're like, and then Dan Aykroyd, and then it can be very similar. I think it would work if like Dan Aykroyd releases a spirit and the spirit possesses him. And then
Bill Murray's character?
No,
or Dan Aykroyd
possesses Dan Aykroyd's character like it, and then the movie kind of goes from there, and then it goes, and then after like a brief battle, it goes and possesses Chris Hemsworth, and then it plays out in a similar sort of fashion.
But well, here's the I think, and not to disagree with you.
Wow.
But I think it would be a lot more interesting character-wise if like are you saying like you want the spirit to possess Dan Aykroyd in like for the bulk of the movie?
No. So like it's like this movie where there are ghosts popping up throughout, and then near the end he's like, oh, finally now I've built what I need to do to release all the ghosts and open up the portal. And then he opens up the portal, and that's when he gets possessed.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
And then I think, and then you still have space at the end for like a big evil fight. But then at the end, Dan Aykroyd can be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I did that."
And I think keeping the big Ghostbuster at the end, like the symbol,
yeah,
I think that could work because like it would be super funny to see like Bill Murray go like,
yeah,
wait, what? You know what I mean? I think that would be.
Yeah, I think an issue with taking this route is like you'd have to do it in a way where Bill Murray doesn't overshadow the new four.
Yes, that would be a big issue.
And I think that's kind of where do you draw the line? So if that's why I said originally he joins late on, like Dan Aykroyd's a third act reveal, like start of the third act in like the last half hour of the movie. That's the reveal. And then Bill Murray agrees to join them. But then the movie can't end with, oh, now we've got Bill Murray with us, we can easily save the day.
Right. No, it can't be have like a male.
Okay. Here's my pitch. A big like draw of like the original Ghostbusters humor is that these guys are they don't 100% know what they're doing, and they are kind of like just pest control.
Right.
And so what if like Dan Aykroyd joins the team? He's like, yep, I'll help him. He suits up. He goes to fight in the end battle, and then straight away he just gets knocked out or something.
Well, you said Dan Aykroyd. Are you talking about Bill Murray?
Sorry, Bill Murray. Yeah, and they play that for laughs, and it's like, oh, I'll save the day, and then he just
that would be funny
out the fight very quickly, and I think that. And it kind of fits in with like I think that's quite similar to the original tone of the Ghostbusters of these guys just being like not
severely inequipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could work, definitely.
And then the women have to do it themselves.
Right. Okay, so if we were to write this down, right?
Okay, go on. You go through this.
So, new plot. So
that's what we're doing.
New plot. So the movie starts out how it did, right?
Yes.
But so here we're taking out no. So however, the Ghostbusters are an existing entity, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
abandoning all the prequelness in the original movie, so we don't have to deal with any of that jazz.
Yeah.
So the movie starts as it did. However, the Ghostbusters are an existing entity, abandoning all the prequelness in the original movie. Dan Aykroyd is the antagonist. Jealous over what?
He's like annoyed that the world doesn't believe in ghosts anymore, and kind of like we could go like in the media they're calling them like fakes and stuff like that.
Right. Discrediting his institution, if you will. And then starts releasing ghosts from the Ghostbuster days.
Mm-hmm.
And then so we were saving Bill Murray for like a third act thing.
Yeah, so I think when the women start setting up the Ghostbusters, they go to him and he's like, no, go away. And then when it's revealed it's Dan Aykroyd, he shows up and he's like, yeah, I'll help now.
Okay. So we are introduced to Bill Murray in like the first act, kind of, but just very briefly. The new crew goes to Bill Murray for help. My curtain fell down a little bit.
Oh dear.
You see it? You can see the tape.
Oh yeah.
It's so sad. Anyways.
Fraud. I always thought you were hiding like your studio behind there.
Yeah, I am. This is actually where I keep all the bots that view my videos.
I was gonna say that's where it's your Scrooge McDuck pool of TikTok money.
Yeah, that's me. The new crew goes to Bill Murray for help. They are shooed away. Then, with the third act, Bill Murray comes to help.
How nice of him.
After figuring out the big bad, but then gets knocked out. I think also it would be sweet to have like a little like reunited scene at the end.
Yeah.
Of like Dan Aykroyd and.
The question is, would we want Winston to?
We totally gotta have. What's his name again?
Winston. Winston's the character's name, and it is played by. How have I forgotten his name? Because he's not in anything else. I don't know what else he's in. And that's why I get confused. Ernie Hudson.
We gotta have him in here.
He's forgotten about once again.
Bill Murray.
Well, I'm looking. He's in Twin Peaks. Sorry, this.
Never seen it.
Oh, yeah, that's the only thing I recognize here. I haven't seen it either. He's in Batman Bad Blood, which is an animated movie.
Do we still keep him as Leslie Jones's uncle?
No.
And change like the story of Patty?
I don't know if you would.
Like I think it'd be funny if Patty was like, my uncle was a Ghostbuster.
And then no one believes her. And then he shows up with Bill Murray in the third act.
Yeah, he's like, I brought my friend. Leslie Jones is like, oh my God, it's Uncle Winston.
Yeah. That works. And then at the end, at the start of the third act, they both get sucked through a portal or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Where does that go? So Patty joins in, mentions how her uncle is also a Ghostbuster. Bill Murray comes to help along with what's his name?
Ernie Hudson, Winston.
Ernie Hudson. After figuring out the big bad, but they get knocked out.
Yeah, I'm gonna remember it for the new one because actually I don't know who of the new cast is in that, but I assume everyone alive is.
Well, we only
It's
know.
Bill Murray we've seen, isn't it?
No, I think we saw. Well, what can be assumed is Dan Aykroyd.
Was it Dan Aykroyd? To be honest, I haven't. I've only seen it in the cinema. I've never paid that much attention to it.
Well, it sounds like Dan Aykroyd,
Okay,
but I don't know. But then it's.
I think Bill Murray will be in it.
They'll probably all be in it.
Yeah.
But then gets knocked out, and then the girls defeat Dan Aykroyd as the big ghost thing.
Yeah. Sorry. So, and then Dan Aykroyd kind of like, "Oh, I'm sorry," when he's unpossessed.
Or like let's say like when they defeat Dan Aykroyd, or like when Bill Murray and Ernie Hudson, oh, I'm so glad I have it written down, when they go into the portal, like let's say they go into a portal or whatever, when they defeat Dan Aykroyd, he goes into that portal too, and there's like a sweet reunion of the
Okay, here's my pitch. End credit scene. It's those three Ghostbusters in a hellish version of New York.
Blah blah blah.
Like
and all their hair is dyed white.
Yeah, like the original plan for Ghostbusters 3. Them in the hellish New York. That's how the movie ends, and then people be like, "Oh, that's what was supposed to happen."
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. But then they get sucked into a portal.
That's fun. Getting sucked into portals is fun. That is it's still quite different to what was sucked in the original movie.
The girls defeat Dan Aykroyd as a big ghost thing, and then he goes into a portal. Because there are portals in this movie.
Yeah.
So, are you ready for this new plot?
I'm always ready for new plots.
All right, so the movie starts out how it did. However, the Ghostbusters are an existing entity, abandoning all the prequelness that is in the movie originally.
Whoa.
Dan Aykroyd is the antagonist, jealous over the world not believing in ghosts, discrediting his institution, starts releasing ghosts from the Ghostbuster days. This new crew goes to Bill Murray for help, but they're shooed away. Then Patty joins, mentioning her uncle is also a Ghostbuster. Then, by the third act, Bill Murray comes to help, along with Ernie Hudson, after figuring out the CGI bad, which is Dan Aykroyd. But then they get sucked into a portal. The girls defeat Dan Aykroyd as a big ghost thing that's in the third act originally, and then he also goes into the ghost portal thing.
Nice. Perfect.
Everything else stays the same. Okay. And hopefully the characters have better chemistry.
So, as we do every 3 weeks, it'd be easier if I could say month or week,
3 weeks. If we just had like one more thing.
It's just 3 weeks is the annoying one.
Fortnite. Sorry.
Anyway, so what would you rate the original movie out of 10?
The original. Oh, okay. So the original.
Sorry, no, the 2016. The
the original original Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Oh, I would. You know what? I give it a 6.5 out of 10.
I was gonna say 5, or I was tempted to say 4.
Because I think the reason I give it that is there's it's too funny to give it a bad score. Like, it's not funny at some parts, but there are some really good jokes in there, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. And what would you give our rewrite?
I would give our rewrite, honestly, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10.
I think this might be our best rewrite.
It might be. Because if this movie existed, That would be awesome.
It would be so good. Like, this is better than Ghostbusters Afterlife, a movie I
Probably.
haven't seen.
Yeah, the movie that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, no, let me think. I'm going for it. Maybe Spider-Man 3, that was a solid. That one wasn't too difficult to rewrite.
No, yeah, that was easy.
We
didn't
even
forget about
rewrite
Ernie
it.
Hudson.
We just went through Sony's bin and found the original script that Sam Raimi wrote.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Look at us.
Do you have any thoughts on Ghostbusters?
Wait, did you
Afterlife?
give it a score? Did you say it was your favorite one?
9.
Oh wow, you give it a 9 out of 10?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a lot of faith in myself and you.
You do.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
I realized there's something nice about you, and I was like, I can't. The fans can't know that I actually.
Wait,
like
hold
you.
on. Where would this movie take place? Besides New York, if it was to take place anywhere else in the world.
I don't know. Good question. I feel like it kind of has to do New York. Like that's. I don't know.
Well, I can think of one other place, but that would be on a stretch. Like it would be like on like a miscellaneous adventure. They went to Italy.
What? Any specific reason why?
Well, I don't know, but I think just like having like Bill Murray naturally just have like a Italian accent going, "It's to me, pizza pie, Ghostbusters, going to catch them all."
I think New York probably works best, but I think it would be a really good reveal if Slimer finally spoke.
Oh, that would be even better, and he's a natural Italian.
Yeah, Mamma mia! I'm an Italian man who died in New York. I love my pizza pie. Yeah. I feel like I was about to say something before you rudely. Oh no, I told a very funny joke and I'm going to repeat it now. I said something nice about you and I had to stop myself because I can't let the fans know that I actually like get along with you.
Oh, well. Got him. Yeah, guys, he actually. No, you don't.
I'm trying to trick the fans into thinking that I like you.
Every time he thinks he likes me, I say something about how annoying he is, and then he takes it back.
We're always very civil to each other. We had a very civil conversation before this started. If you want to know how interesting our conversations are, before we recorded this, we were having a conversation about what we call garbage in the UK and America. We weren't making fun of each other about it. It was just a very straightforward, fascinating debate.
Get this, guys. Us Americans call it garbage or trash. They call it rubbish. And we were literally talking about that for probably like about 10 minutes.
Well, no, it's also interesting because you don't really call your bins. You call them garbage, the garbage or the rubbish.
We don't call it rubbish.
Oh, not rubbish or trash. Yeah, I got that confused in my mind. Clearly, this conversation wasn't long enough.
The rest, we're gonna keep this going on for an hour long, just so we can get this over with.
Yeah, we'll stop the recording and then we'll just talk about this more. So, adios, guys.
No. Adios, everybody.
What are we doing? Will we have a guest on next week?
Do we?
Probably. We can sort that out. We're so good at this. It's not like we've been doing this this is our 23rd week together.
Wow, is it really?
We're 3 weeks away from half a year.
Wow, it feels like 2.
2 weeks?
Years.
You're a sweet man. Okay. Adios, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.